If you don't think you can raise price, let's talk for a second. So many small business owners feel like they can't raise price, often because the market's saturated. There's too many people competing. There's all these people that are so much lower price you can't raise your price. And then at the same time, these same business owners will turn around and say something like, I have to do all the work myself. No one else on my team, there's nobody else that can do it. It has to be me. And they just have that problem. And it's so, oh man, it's so debilitating for you when you're in that state where on the left hand you can't raise prices enough to hire people, and on the right hand you have to do all the work yourself. And when that happens, you're oftentimes stuck in this mode where business is terrible. Fortunately, there is a better way. Unfortunately, so many people don't know what that better way is. And so when that happens, they're literally stuck doing all the work themselves. They wake up earlier than everyone else. They start working on their business right away. They wake up and get right to work. They don't have enough time to meditate. They don't have enough time to think about things. They don't have enough time to make their business better because they've just got to get in. They got to grind. They got to make it happen, because if they're not working, the money's not coming in. That's just one of the problems. Then, on top of all of that, you've got the issues of if you ever get sick, what's going to happen, because then your business is really going to collapse. Plus, since you're working all the time, you probably are neglecting your health, which means you're not in very good physical condition. Now you're more likely to get sick. Plus, you're probably neglecting some relationships. So strong friendships you used to have, they've probably gotten soft and kind of brittle, to where they could break or fall apart really easily, or maybe those friends have kind of faded into the past or faded away from you, and they've moved on and you've moved on because you're always working in the business. If you're married, that marriage might not be as strong as you wanted it to be, and oftentimes people have a hard time admitting it, but deep inside you know that that's true. Your marriage isn't the where it wants to be. You don't get to spend time having fun. You don't get to go out on dates. You're not doing these exciting things you wanted to with your spouse. If you have children, your children know you in name only. They may see you and think that you're just some strange roommate that kind of lives in the same house as them. It's not fun. It's a terrible way to live. And yet, what do? You can't raise prices because your competitors all have lower prices than you, and you're the only one that can do the work. But let's flip that script on its head and solve it for you. Instead, let's look at it from a different perspective. You're saying you can't raise prices. You're saying you're the only one that can do the work. If you can't raise prices because you have so many competitors that are all doing the same work as you, that means there are other human beings that can do the exact same work that you're doing. That's what I hear when you say you can't raise your prices because you have so many competitors that have the same or lower price. So that means the work you're doing is not super special. So one of these two things has to be not true in your situation. Which one is it? Can you raise your price? Can you have other people do some of the work? Now, oftentimes what people will do is they'll make a major mistake when they're having other people do some of the work. What they do is they will just take that work, hand it to someone that's totally unqualified, say, this is what I need you to do. And then you as the business owner, you just take off, run away, hide, and hope that they can do it without you ever helping them be successful. If that's you, there's a better way. And we can get into that in another video, but the overview of it is, first you teach them the results they should have when they're doing the work. Next, you show them the steps they should take to get there, the rough outline. Third, you tell them that you expect them to be intelligent enough to recognize when the steps aren't going to work, and if they need help to come back to you, or they can figure it out if it's a small thing, and then you follow up and you have mechanisms where you're going to check in and make sure that work happened, because you want to trust them just a little bit while you're getting started. Then you can grow that trust over time as you validate they know what they're doing. Also, if you break the work down into little pieces, it makes it so that they can handle those little pieces. Now that we've talked about that idea of can you actually hire people, and you may not hire someone full-time. It may be you're hiring one person that's going to do some phone calls for you. And maybe you're going to have that person that's maybe a stay-at-home mom. And she's going to make a few phone calls for you. She's going to do a little bit of some of the administrative work for you. And you're going to hand that to them, and they're going to work a few hours. That way you're not taking a full-time commitment. You're just taking a little chunk, taking a little rock out of that backpack of weight that you're carrying that's constantly pressing you down. You're going to take a little one out until you get better at handing work off. Now, on the raising prices side, the reason you cannot raise prices is because to your customer, the service you provide is no different than any of your competitors. Let me say that a different way. If in your customer's mind, they were looking at your service and the competitors, and you brought 20 times the value, not the value you think, the value they think. So if they, for example, value speed, and you can deliver it in half the speed, then once the delivery's done, they're going to recognize that value. But your job is to communicate that you can give them that value before they purchase. When you can differentiate yourself from your competitors, price becomes less of an issue because you're doing a better job of delivering what the customer wants. So you don't have to solve all these things at once, but I'm here to show you there is a way that you can make small changes in your business that's going to start to break that cage down and convert it into wings of freedom.